All right, guys. Sorry I've been gone a lot lately. I'm trying to do that 3 days a week, so this is number 2 for the week. We're going to be doing things a little bit differently today. So one of the things I want to focus on is spending less time just looking at charts and doing busy work, and more time talking big picture. I don't want people to be day traders. I was rebalancing my account quite a bit. I think I'm pretty much where I want to be. I might make alterations again in the future. I haven't really updated my portfolio online because I haven't changed anything. So, but my theme for today and what we're going to be talking about is S curves. The reason we're going to be talking about that is because of the importance. And I'll just make sure that you guys are here too. All right, I'll try and get chat up and running and just make sure that you guys are all here. If you hear me, please say so. And then also too, if you guys could hit the like button, it's greatly appreciated. But so here's why we're going to talk about S curve adoption today, because I believe it's incredibly crucial with the world we're living in, especially when it comes to EV and robotics and autonomy, and also within Bitcoin. All right, awesome. Hey guys, so these are concepts. It's something you have to understand. I would say that out of my investment portfolio, S curve adoption and the understanding of S curves and understanding where technology is going is probably like 60% of my winning. So you've got to understand what's happening in the future, and you've got to understand where you are in that adoption cycle. And the people that do that make fortunes as the world is continually changing. Whether people like it or not, there's always laggards. There's always early adopters. I would consider myself one of those based upon the looks that I get every single day driving my Cybertruck around town. Whether it's good or bad, people are definitely paying attention. And but there's early adopters. There's the people that get ahead of the game and try and figure out what the future is. They're the ones that benefit the most financially if they're good at what they do and they're able to find great companies. I would argue that a company like Tesla or XAI, which we're going to talk about in a little bit too, because it's amazing, and what they're doing right now is amazing. And then again, Bitcoin is just, you've got to understand where we are on these plots. You've got to understand why they're going to change the world over a very short period of time. One of the things that we'll be talking about will be Optimus. I think we could easily see 50,000 plus Optimus robots created by 2026, and on a yearly basis, and maybe that gets to up to 80 or 100,000 by 2027. And this is a big deal. It's a big deal for a number of reasons, of which we're going to go over here in a second. But what I wanted to show you right now is this adoption, projected EV adoption is accelerating. So this is just on the EV side. You got to remember Tesla is Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink, whatever, XAI, the adoption, these are all adoption curves. Everything that they're touching, the robot, the autonomy, the EVs, everything is an S curve for Tesla. Even the energy business, right? Everything is an S curve, and we're at different points in that S curve. And the amount of money that this fucking company is going to make is unbelievable. And I think 90% of people, even people invested in Tesla, don't understand how big this company is going to be. So we're going to talk a little bit about that right now. And this S curve adoption, we're somewhere, this article is about a year old, we're somewhere probably right about here in the middle of these projections. I think that we're going to see a vast increase. And so even if we're in the middle of this, we're talking about 30% EV adoption by 2030. I think that's super conservative. I think it'll be over 50% by 2030. I think it'll be up at that 2022 estimate. If you look here, the important thing to understand about this BCG estimate is that look at what's happened. In 2018, they thought it was 21%. In 2020, they thought it was going to be 26% by 2030. In 2021, they thought it was going to be 42. In 2022, they thought it was going to be 53. And again, I think 60% is probably a more accurate level. And right now, the world, I mean, if you look at it across the entirety of the world, we're like in single percent adoption rate right now for overall cars on the road, like 1 to 2%. So this is insane. This is an insane level of adoption that we're looking at right now. And it's only going to get bigger. Now, one thing, I skipped my Ally account balance stuff today. I'm probably going to do that going forward. I'm starting in my local community. I am starting to advertise micro to macro. The thing I don't want to advertise is how much money I have. I think that's probably a bad idea. So I'm trying to cut back on that, both for an online presence. I don't know. I think it's more clout chasing than anything. And I don't want people, some people don't take high dollar amounts well because it doesn't make them feel good about where their position is at. So I'm not going to do any of that anymore. I'm not going to show those. I'll probably do a summary like once a month or something, showing where I'm at. I'll definitely do like an end of the year recap showing where I was at the beginning and what the portfolio looked like at the end. But I'm not going to daily show my money. I don't think that's a wise move for me. And locally, the reason I'm pushing more locally, I went back and forth because I thought, yeah, is it a safety concern? It's like, no, I don't really talk about much outside of showing, some large balances and that I've got, a couple $1 million just on those. And so I don't think it's an issue there. But what I'm trying to accomplish is I want to help. Like the whole reason I'm doing this isn't to make money. I don't give a shit about money. Like I like it's going to be nice to make money, but that's not my centralized purpose, right? What I want to do is help people. I want to help them figure out the future. I want to help them try and make some money and make some asymmetric bets that can return really well. I want them to figure out how to have well-balanced portfolios where there's not too much risk. And where if they are looking at things that are riskier or newer, they're applying a small amount of capital like Flux and DLO, where I was doing, like 0.5% or is it less than that of my portfolio on these investments. Like they're speculative and they're bets and there's a thesis behind them. And if that grows over time, and I don't have a lot of updates on those two today, I don't. I'll try to do that hopefully by this weekend, by Sunday. But again, as speculative bets occur, I'd like to establish more confidence, buy into them more, and then grow it and show people how to do these things to where they're not betting the farm on something because they saw a YouTube video and they got excited about it and they applied too much capital to it and lost out. But so locally though, what I'm trying to do is I want to help people here. I want to help people in my city. I want to help people in my state make money and learn how to invest. There's too many people that don't understand how to invest that are just doing a 401k or not even that. They're cashing out their fucking 401ks and they're missing out on massive opportunity for wealth building. And I just can't have that. I want to help the world, but I also want to help my country. And then even more so, I want to help my city. And then even more so, I want to help my friends and my family. And so I really want to advertise things locally. And that's why I'm getting rid of the balance thing. And it also too, I don't want it to be what I'm doing here. I don't want it to be focused on like, oh, watch things go up, down all the time. Don't get me wrong. Like with charting, there's going to be key levels and things that we need to talk about. And I can pull up charts. I'll do that once a week on Sundays. I'll pull up charts for people and we'll look at them. But I don't want that to be the focal point. I really don't. I think that creates a short-term mentality and that's not what I'm about. And so every once in a while, I got to reinvent myself. And that's what I'm doing right now. And I'll continue to do it a million more times in the future, just so you guys know. So what's going on with MicroStrategy? I don't know. It's down 4.8%. Bitcoin, I don't know. I have no fucking idea. Let's see. CleanSpark down 3.98%. Why is that down 3.98%? I don't have a fucking idea. It doesn't really matter. None of these things matter. Over the short time frame, you'll see a bunch of movement going up and down. MicroStrategy's chart still looks fine. CleanSpark still looks fine. Bitcoin looks great. So, but this is my whole point, actually. You're making my point for me. I don't want to focus on just like, oh, some daily things moved around. I want to focus big picture. I want to talk about the macro. I want to talk about concepts like S-curve adoption. I want to talk about the big picture things that are happening with investments where most of my money is allocated and talk about the timelines and talk about how we're going to make a bunch of money in the future. And if people don't make the transition, I'm cool with that too. I understand that. I get it. But that's the goal. And we're going to, without further ado, we're going to talk a little bit more about Tesla. We're going to talk about XAI, okay? So let's go through it. All right. Let me see if I can get it right. All right. Let me just zoom some shit in here. It's been a while. Still kind of a noob at this. All right. So the top one here, there's a couple things I wanted to clarify. I know there's a lot of talk about Elon Musk taking on a role under the Donald Trump organization, president, whatever the fuck he is. That doesn't appear to be true. Albeit, though, there are a lot of reports that are kind of like similar in nature. He did say that he didn't discuss any role, if you look down here, with Trump about, anything going on in his next presidency. So that has not happened. Maybe it's something. Maybe there's some. James from Invest Answers was talking about. Maybe there's since there's a lot of smoke, a lot of different articles from different companies talking about similar things like this. They talked about crypto too, and him talking about crypto, which he said he never talked about. And he actually said, we'll look at that in a second because you got to see what he said. It's actually really positive. But the whole point here is that there might be some fire behind this. Like maybe Trump hasn't talked to him yet, but maybe he still wants to. There are some fascinating things happening with Bitcoin too. We'll talk about that in a little bit in regard to Biden and just like the politics right now on what's happening with cryptocurrency are insane. But I digress. We're focused on Tesla here. I just wanted to point out that he said he didn't talk to him about a role within it. Didn't talk to him about crypto. But there's more to the story, and we'll talk about it in a second. Here's part of it. The Wall Street Journal has claimed that Trump campaign is in talks with Elon. Okay, yeah, we know this isn't true. So that we can skip that one. Here's another one. Elon Musk is advising President Trump on crypto policy. Now, I am going to talk about this just super quick. So Elon said that he denied discussing crypto with Donald Trump, but says he's in favor of things that shift power from government to the people, which crypto can do. Verbatim fucking quote. So, and you got to remember, this guy has SpaceX has Bitcoin, Tesla has Bitcoin. I think even Neuralink might have Bitcoin. I don't even fucking. So people shit on Elon Musk because they sold some of it a while ago, but they're still buying. Like they have Bitcoin, and he understands the purpose of it. And this is a direct quote showing that he understands the purpose of Bitcoin. And that's important in the future when we're talking about Bitcoin here in a second. All right, so I want to go further here. There's a video that I posted here a little bit ago. It's about 42 minutes ago. I would encourage you guys to watch it. It is from Best in Tesla. It's a great video. The guy does good work. He focuses a little bit on the conversation about like helping the climate and all that stuff in regard to renewables and Optimus. I actually am not worried about the climate. I just say this. Like, I do want a better world. I don't want people coal rolling me. Those fucking guys are idiots. But I do think we could have a cleaner, better world. And I think that is going to happen because technology is advancing so quickly. The only fears I have are that we either nuke ourselves or the AI does it for us. Those are my only fears. So we need to keep that stuff from happening. We need to support people like Elon Musk if we want to ensure that that's not the road that we take, at least in regard to AI. And so I think we need to continue to do that. But what I wanted to talk about here, this video from Best in Tesla, it talks about how Optimus, it actually gives my numbers here are way conservative compared to his. It talks about how they believe that there's going to be an operating cost, and this is my conservative number, of $2 to $3 an hour. And I believe it'll be in mass production with Optimus by 2026, and they'll be producing like up to 50,000 Optimus robots that year. And I think initially these Optimus robots will not be open to the public. I think Tesla's going to use them. And here's why. Their average cost per employee is probably closer to $30 an hour across all of their locations in the world. It's probably, I shouldn't say that. It's probably better in China. But the whole point is, like, at least in the Western places it's located, Germany, the United States, it's probably around that, right? $20 to $30 an hour. I think in the future, they'll be able to operate at $2 to $3. And this video does a great job of explaining all that. I won't go into all of it, but you should watch it. And this is the conservative estimate. The not conservative estimate is that it could be in the under a dollar, 50 cents an hour maybe. But with the cost of the robot, if it's under $20,000, and with the lifespan that it has of 3 to 5 years. So, and then, whatever maintenance that might come up, whatever kind of warranty that might exist, whatever. But think about this. Think about if that doesn't work out and it's $2 to $3 an hour, how many fucking people are going to lose their jobs? How many? Think about the math here. Most jobs pay over $20 an hour on average right now, right? 20 to 30 is a very reasonable fucking number. So what happens when they just start printing all these robots and they keep getting smarter and they keep getting better? I don't think people realize how fucking good these are getting. And they can operate at 5 to 10% of the cost of a human laborer. I can tell you this, Tesla's margins will be very solid. And I'm talking like, and this, even in conversations from Elon Musk, they said that 100,000 robots by 2026. And he's like, that's probably a little bit high. but not too far. So, so just think about how much the world is going to change by 2030 when they can sell these robots at a premium. And let's say they sell it for, if they sold it at 200,000, you'd still be making a profit versus a regular human being right now for overall cost. And you'd probably reach that within less than 2 years. You'd save more money, because you got to think you're paying laborers too, not just that hourly wage, but then you're paying for the medical benefits. You're paying additional taxes. You're paying for the 401k matches. Think about all the fucking shit that employers have to pay for. And it just starts to disappear as we mass produce robots. So you guys need to think about this stuff. You need to realize the S-curves that are in front of Tesla right now, whether it be energy, whether it be AI development, whether it be EVs, whether it be autonomy, everything. It's insane. And they're a virtual power plant too. I'm getting the equipment right now. I already got my universal power share connector that I'm going to replace my existing wall connector for outside of my house for my Cybertruck. And I've got a couple more pieces to buy and some labor to pay for. And my car will be a backup to the fucking house. And then in the future, you could actually have these cars being energy providers for the grid and for utilities when they need that peak power throughout the day. Think about how crazy that is. Oh, there's other stuff we're going to talk about. I'm really excited, man. We're starting with Tesla. We're going to be going into Bitcoin too. We'll talk about some other shit. But man, work comp, all that shit, all the stuff that you have to think about, all the HR people that you have to hire, just all the infrastructure that's built around human labor that goes away. All the cost, or I should say the cost goes away. And you can just start printing GDP. You can print it. All right, other stuff. One sec, I gotta like resize something because my window does this little dimming thing. I fucking hate. I haven't figured it out yet. All right, so the next thing is from Ben. It says, "Wow, the AI wars continue. Elon Musk plans to build a supercomputer with 100,000 specialized NVIDIA GPUs, which would be at least 4x larger than the biggest AI clusters today, more than the 35,000 Meta has. He who has the most cost energy efficient compute wins." This in and of itself, the gigafactory of compute, will change the future of AI. And AI is at the lead of this. Tesla is at the lead of this. They're working on Dojo right now and putting it into production. There's another video I didn't include in here. Maybe I'll include it on Monday. It's fucking insane. It has what's going on with Dojo and the fact that we could be looking at a 40x increase in efficiency and inference. A lot of people don't realize this, but NVIDIA is leading in training compute, not inference. Tesla is going to win in inference. They already are. So it's very important that you understand these things and how all of this connects. And here's another video I posted a little bit ago. Got 12 whole likes. Guess I didn't put enough fucking information in it. But this talks about, this gentleman talks about how his company, Bill LeBlanc, talks about his company is going to be working to basically help construct, and I'm sure Tesla's doing this too. They have software that can virtually do this today, but make it to where there's dynamic charging rates tied in with utilities, and your charging happens overnight, but it doesn't all happen at once. And maybe it's segmented off and split up between a bunch of other EVs that are out there to help balance out the power loads on the grid during the day and at night, and help even out rates that right now can be all over the place. They can be really low at one time and really high at others. So they're going to work on trying to make this stuff better. And what people don't realize is if we just help balance the loads on the grids while expanding the grids, the electrical grids, and growing them, we can basically make it to where it's a sustainable ramp. Where there's some people that literally think the grid can't handle it. And what they don't realize is they don't even think about stuff like this. They don't think about the fact that we can more dynamically balance loads with these new EVs, and then also use them to help provide power when needed through things like power share and power walls and solar. We'll be able to make it to where we're creating some of that energy efficiency, not by actually upgrading hardware, but just having smart software. So think about this. Kind of a big deal. All right, I wanted to point this out. I love this. I love Javier Milei. There's so much cool shit happening right now. We've got, oh my God, I'm going to go off on a rant here in for a second. You got Javier Milei meeting with Bukele, and Bukele meeting with him when he got inaugurated. And then you have Bukele, who's going to have President Joe Biden fucking there for like his inauguration thing or whatever for his next term. And then at the same time, now the Biden team is scared about what Trump's been saying. So now they're talking about how they're basically asking the community what they should be doing in regard to crypto regulation. And I think this reach out to Bukele is definitely a part of that. Bukele has done amazing things with El Salvador. They went from the murder capital of the world with a 20x murder rate versus the United States, which is not a great number. We're not a great number. And now they're the safest fucking country in this continent, man. So it's nuts. It's nuts. And they've done great things. And then the Bitcoin adoption has been huge. And Javier Milei's been meeting with him. But then you got Elon Musk also. You got him being defended by Javier, basically saying that this man is brilliant and that he should get fucking paid. And I love that. I love that all these brilliant people are coming together. I love that probably the next president of Canada is not going to be Justin Trudeau, and that it's going to be somebody that's more conservative in nature and that believes in capitalism and that believes in bettering humanity through capitalism. I think these are all good things. And I love that Javier is in Argentina now. And I love that Kathy Wood is meeting with Bukele to figure out investment opportunities in their country. And so you have just, I think we're looking at the resurgence of North, Central, and South America as the greatest powers on earth. Argentina could have been the United States. And they have that opportunity now, and they're grabbing it by the balls, and they're going to be running with it. But I love this. I love that I love that great people are sticking up for each other and guiding each other towards the future. We need more of it. Also, in case you missed this, Tesla Chan. Tesla Chan, I think, is from China. We don't always agree on everything, but he's a good dude, and he gives a lot of insider information on Tesla. And it looks like maybe June we could be looking at FSD in China. This is big stuff, guys. You don't realize how quickly FSD is changing. You don't realize the looks I get in my Cybertruck every day as I blow people's fucking minds with what this truck actually is. Some people shit on it because they don't understand it, but when people start to learn what it can do, I have brought haters into people that are like, wow, maybe I'll get the $60,000 one when it comes out. And there's already 1 million fucking pre-orders. There is, whatever. All right. Yep, more Tesla stuff registering in China. Let's move on. Just to reiterate, Tesla will spend well over $500 million expanding the Super. So this is older notes. I don't even know if I got all my bookmarks in here for Tesla. Again, think about the future. Think about S-curves that are here and that are going to be here within 5.5 years. And then here, almost at full adoption within 10. Tesla has a ton of them. Tesla will be the biggest company on earth in less than 5 years. That's my take. So don't pass this up. Don't be fucking stupid. All right. Bitcoin. I wanted to show this one too. Again, it's all about the S-curves, right? It says Bitcoin remains at very early technological adoption phase, says latest report. This is from 2022. It's old. We're probably like all the way up here, guys. We're all the way up here now. But you got to realize that even if we take several percent of, just a couple of percent of the different forms of wealth and debt that we use kind of as stores of value around the world, and gold and real estate and all these other things, right? That's where we are, guys. We're down here. We're down here. Please to God, take time to understand what S-curves are. Look throughout history. Look at technological innovation. Look at where it starts and where it goes and how quickly it does it. There's a reason they call it a fucking S-curve. There's a reason they all look the same. It's because of the math. You don't have to be like a rocket scientist to be able to look at a fucking image and see that repeated out through different technologies, through hundreds and hundreds of years. And they all follow the same fucking path. Anyway. All right. Caleb, talking about price action, showing that ETH is finding support here and that he believes that this is what he's paying attention to. I actually think it's going to find support there. I think that's a good thing. Bitcoin. Cynthia Loomis. I love this lady so much. She's amazing. She says, Bitcoin is going to be an important part of our economy going forward. Bitcoin and crypto. She's 100% right. She's 100% right. You know what? Let's listen to her. I love this lady. 1 second.
Well, when I came to the U.S. Senate, nobody knew anything about digital assets. Nobody knew the difference between Bitcoin and alternative coins. And so we've worked hard to educate members of the Senate. We created a financial innovation caucus. Kirsten Gillibrand and I put together a financial framework for the management of the entire crypto industry. We now are seeing some of the fruits of those labors, planting the seeds of understanding within the Congress about how this asset class is growing, how Bitcoin is a store of value and a means of exchange, how Ethereum is possibly a blockchain platform that can be used for a variety of applications. So this is an industry that's starting to gain the attention of everyday Americans, and it's going to be an important part of our economy going forward unless we blow it.
And here's the thing, guys. I don't think we can blow it. I don't think we can blow it because we have who I believe is going to be the president, Donald Trump, saying that we need to be the number one leaders in the world for this. And then on top of that, we've seen Biden do a complete fucking reversal on crypto, having the SEC approve Ethereum. Congress has been passing bills that are pro-crypto, pro-Bitcoin. States are passing numerous bills that are pro-Bitcoin and pro-crypto and pro-self-custody. We're looking at a world that is changing very quickly towards the positive. The numbers are roughly like 30% of voters, that registered voters, that are saying that crypto and Bitcoin will play a role in who they vote for. That's fucking insane. And again, you have Biden taking note. That's why do you think he's seeing Bukele? Why would he go to? He's afraid of losing the votes. He's afraid of losing the votes to Trump because Trump has taken such a strong stance. And so I don't think it's politically viable to be anti-crypto anymore. I don't think it's viable. So just think about that. Think about the repercussions of that. We're after the halving. We've got ETFs and ETNs everywhere across the world. We have Bitcoin on exchanges just disappearing. And the math is kicking in. It's going to start kicking in. It takes months. We can look at the halvings here. We can look at the BLX. I can pull that up. But this is just starting. We're just starting this. This is the part of the cycle where shit gets fun. And I couldn't ask for a better situation. This is way better than I ever would have imagined. Way better. All right, some more trader stuff, just for the people that are curious about where we're at for Bitcoin. Oversold on the stock RSI, or Stotch, sorry. Hit its levels perfectly on the daily. And we're also at a key support zone. And from what I'm seeing of Bitcoin, we're getting ready to break out higher. And I'll look at the chart here, my own here in a second. But you got to realize, just don't be an idiot. The reason I'm not wanting to do as much like daily charting, the reason I don't want to focus, I don't want to show balances and focus on like daily gyrations and have people miss what the fuck is happening because they get worried about like the news reports over a couple of days when they could have just went on a fucking walk, watched some TV, hung out with their family, and then everything was okay and they missed out on all the drama that didn't really fucking matter. That's just noise because they're not focused on the big picture. And so I really want to start focusing on the big picture. And let's see what Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs says the Bitcoin ETF approval was a big psychological turning point. It's been an astonishing success. And they're not the only ones saying that because this thing blew away every other ETF in history by a large margin. That's signal. That's signal. Cynthia Loomis is signal. Biden is signal. Donald Trump is signal. Elon Musk saying that crypto could fucking save us is signal. Listen to it. Don't listen to noise. This one right here is signal. Again, Trader Tardigrade is a good dude. Says we're forming a tight bull flag when you look at the appropriate time frame. He's looking at the 2-week. It doesn't matter. The weekly looks pretty much like this too. The range is actually really tight. We might wick in and out on a shorter time frame, right? We might wick in and out of some things. But when you start to look at a longer time frame, it's a bull flag. This is signal. It's technical signals, but it's signal. Especially when we talk about everything else that matters, right? All the fundamentals of what's happening right now in the macro environment of the world, and specifically within Bitcoin and crypto. The New York Stock Exchange is launching financial products to track spot Bitcoin pricing. We're here, guys. We're here. We're at adoption. It doesn't get any better than this. I didn't expect half this shit. I didn't expect an Ethereum ETF. It looked like it wasn't going to happen. I was hoping we got a Bitcoin ETF. I finally started believing that was going to happen, but it's hard to believe that when you've been around for, 2016, 17, and you've heard this shit so much, and it never fucking goes anywhere. But that happened too. And then we have these all over the place. Like, all of this is better than I could have ever imagined. That's signal. Are you mentally prepared, Vivek says. This shows the timing of the halvings and the cycles, like the bear, the pre-bull, the bull run, the huge bull. Look at where we are, timing-wise, in this cycle. We still got a lot of this left. 50% more, 50% or more of this thing is left. That's a lot. That's a lot of money, especially if you have multipliers like Bitcoin miners. And here's the thing. I don't know if I'm going to be right about like iron and AI and this stuff, about these not amounting to as much. I could be fucking wrong about that. Maybe people with iron make a higher percentage, make a couple 100% more than fucking CleanSpark or Cypher or one of these others. I don't care. I hope everybody makes a bunch of fucking money. Most of these will do well as long as they survive. It's the ones that really can't manage themselves well that are going to be fucked and that don't have Bitcoin stacks. We'll see who those people are. But a lot of these are going to do well. I think at least 60 to 70%. Those are good odds, man. As long as you get out at the right fucking time. Dennis Porter. This guy is awesome. He works. There's very few people outside of maybe Cynthia Loomis and there's a lot of people in crypto that really push for it. But this guy, when it comes to state government, national government, this is the man pushing forward with everything. And he says, for years, people told me it was impossible for the USA to be pro-Bitcoin. They were wrong. We've passed pro-Bitcoin bills in 3 states, and it's just beginning. And this guy will make this happen. And we can see that presidents are for this now, even ones that were talking shit about it a month ago. That's signal, just in case you didn't know that. Bitcoin Archive. Jack Dorsey, backed Bitcoin mining company Ocean Mining, has adopted El Salvador as its global headquarters. Again, brilliant people are finding other brilliant people that can see the fucking future. And they're working with them. Whether it's Javier Milei working with Bukele, or Arc Genomics' Kathy Wood, or Biden going there for his second inauguration or whatever. Or Jack Dorsey establishing their global headquarters there, or many other businesses that have done so. Even China is trying to give more money to El Salvador. And the United States is probably going to be doing a lot more of that too, because they went from being a villain to being the heroes. But yeah, follow brilliant people, especially when they're working together for causes that are all S curves and provide asymmetric returns. Probably a good idea. Just a guess. Bitcoin Archive. This is from May 28th. What's today? 30th, whatever. A little old, but I wanted to talk to it. Similar Scientific. It said was up 28%. They went up even more than that. Why? Because they changed their treasury strategy to start buying Bitcoin. This is just one fucking company. There's going to be thousands. Maybe this cycle. Next cycle, maybe tens or hundreds of thousands. You're at the beginning of this. Don't lose the plot from stupidity and noise. You'll regret it. Again, Japanese public company Metaplanet to buy another 250 million worth of Bitcoin. Oh yeah, here we go. 33% of voters say that they will weigh candidates' Bitcoin and crypto views. This is our first Bitcoin election. I would agree. Also, this is going back 5 years for the term buy Bitcoin. Retail isn't even fucking looking. They haven't even started their FOMO. I can tell you, there's this funny story. So this girl rolled up next to me. She's probably like in her early 30s. And she goes, "What do you do and what is that?" And I told her it was the Cybertruck, and I told her it was bulletproof race car. So that's pretty much what it is. And she said, "Why do you need a bulletproof vehicle?" And she goes like, can you not tell me? I told her I was an investor. She thought I was James Bond or something driving this fucking Cybertruck. She's one of the smarter people I've met, though, for such a short conversation, because she then said, "What should I be invested in?" And I said, "Tesla and Bitcoin." And she said, "Done. Thank you." And I drove off. So there are people that she didn't even know what Tesla was. She didn't know what a Cybertruck was, but she could see that it was amazing. And she thought I was some like superhero fucking in it, which is funny. But it just lets you know how little people actually know about this stuff. They're going to be shocked. They'll be appalled. They'll be confused. They'll think it won't happen as quickly as it's all going to happen. But $2 to $3 human or robotic labor is coming very quickly. And it'll probably be under $1 in 5 to 6 years. Imagine that. Imagine what's ahead of us right now. You want to own Bitcoin when nobody gives a fuck about it. You want to own Tesla when people are still trying to figure out if it's a fucking car company, and all the existing EV makers in the United States are giving up. And nobody has autonomy. Jesse Bond. Thanks, Andy. You guys are great. I like that, though. I'm not going to lie. All right. Anyway, there's so much, guys. Oh, and this one, too. I don't know if I talked about this the other day. Just China's demise is going to be a rocket ship for Bitcoin, Ethereum, Sol, and I believe a bunch of other investment categories. This is showing the money supply of the U.S. and China, and you can see how ours is kind of like, it's going up, but it's kind of tabling off a little bit, and it will continue to expand. It has to. But we're not in the dire threat that China's in. But look at their expansion. Look at their expansion for the money supply. What's happening? It's going vertical. It's going parabolic. And so I do believe that they're headed towards a Great Depression. I do believe that that's going to end up happening. I don't know if it takes a year or two. I do believe it's going to happen. Hey, thank you, Monkey Boy Gaming. I appreciate you, sir, very much. And thank you to the other people. I might have missed some people that had joined. I appreciate all of you. You don't have to do that. I really do appreciate it. I'm going to try and do more stuff like this, hopefully, where I'm focused on big picture. I'd rather do less and have it be a more meaningful experience for you when you walk away from it. And for me, reiterating and basically just letting you know that great things are coming and giving you the confidence to be able to weather the storm of whatever bullshit might be happening for a given week. Okay? So, and when Bitcoin gets too high, when Tesla gets too high, you best bet I'm going to be fucking saying something about it. Less is more. I do think so. I don't want to, here's the thing. I don't want to take up 3 hours of your day fucking 6 days a week. I think that's stupid. It's an inefficient timeline. I'd rather have an hour to an hour and a half, 2 to 3 times a week that are meaningful and impactful. So that's what I'm shooting for. And over time, hopefully I can make that even better. And I can build out resources that do a lot of the work for me because I'm a lazy motherfucker. I like to automate shit. I don't like to work a lot. Anyway, it's both a quality and a disadvantage, depending upon what we're talking about. Anyway, oh yeah, Bitcoin on exchanges is hitting all-time low supply shortage. This is May 7th. This is old shit. But just look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Price go up. Supply go down. Supply go down. Demand go up. It's just like everything is beautiful right now. I'm super excited what's happening. Don't miss the S-curves, guys. Don't miss the S-curves. All right. Something else I wanted to talk about that's interesting. We'll talk about economic data, too. We got some, pretty fascinating stuff over the last week or two. I've been 100% wrong about lowering rates. I don't know that that's going to happen to September. So I don't think Caleb Bronson watches this, but he was right. I was wrong. I thought this was going to happen much sooner. It did not. And I do believe that it's probably September now. I think it can wait a while. I think partially because we'll look at it here in a second, or maybe just right now. I'll jump into it real quick if I can find it. Yeah, right here. So I said M2 is back in expansion territory. This is year over year. This is where the fun begins. And all I meant by this is that we're seeing finally this climb, right? Like we had a tough time in 2022. Even into the beginning of 2023, we were still watching the M2 money supply contract. Now, though, we're seeing it expand. And I think that that's going to continue. It's an election year. I think that risk is going to continue. We haven't had a bad month. This last month has not been bad. I mean, it hasn't been good if you're in options for like PayPal and SoFi and some other shit, right? Getting pretty fucked. But those are timeline-based mechanisms. So they have danger if it doesn't move in the direction you want it to. I was way too early on PayPal by a year. This is what happens. This is why we make asymmetric bets that point in different directions. Because if it was 15% of my portfolio, not the end of the world. If it was 60% or 80% or 100% because I only followed one company, I'd be fucked. But I'm not. And I still think I'm going to end up making money out of PayPal because of my 2026. And I think I might even make some out of my 2025s. I know that sounds fucking insane. They're down like 75%, maybe 80%. But I think I could still make money off of them. We'll see what happens. They don't have to. And if I don't really give a shit. I can make $4 to $10 million off of Tesla. I can 20x my money off of Tesla if I'm right about what's going to happen there. I can make hundreds of percent, actually probably like 400 or 500% minimum off of Bitcoin, of which I have like $1.5 million or more right now, if I'm right about what's coming over the next year and a half. So, and then there's other bets. There's plenty of them, right? ARKG, Flux, DLO, all this shit, right? There's shit everywhere. All of these things can make me asymmetric bets. So I have no doubt. I believe by the end of this year, I'll make at least 100%, even though I'm down probably over 20 right now, maybe closer to 25% for the year versus my 700% last year. And you can hold me accountable for it at the end of the year. If I don't fucking perform, remind me, bring it up in chat every fucking day. I don't think it'll happen. So if I'm right, I'll probably remind you every fucking day. Anyway. All right. So yeah, but anyway, M2 is back and we're expanding and the money supply is growing. And I believe that that's very important. There's other weird shit happening. There's a lot of things happening. I want to talk about a number of things from the macro standpoint. Let me go down a few here. There's a lot of stuff I want to cover. There's so many things. So many things going on right now. So we might not be cutting rates, but you know what's interesting? The European Central Bank is probably going to be cutting rates in June. So we are seeing countries around the world start to do that. That will have impact upon the United States for a number of reasons. Hopefully it's positive. It should be. But you have to keep in mind that other countries are starting to be, they're really working on expanding the money supply. And also, we'll talk about more about that in a second. Also, hedge funds dumped stocks at the fastest rate since January, and in particular, sold industrials at the fastest pace in a decade. This is interesting. It's notable. Hedge funds can be really fucking stupid, though, from my experience. So even though they're selling at one of the highest rates, maybe that's not the right move. We'll see. We'll see. But it's notable, and I wanted to pass it on. Again, I love just showing this one. The U.S. is the largest oil producer in the world by quite a lot. Markets and Mayhem is off sometimes. He doesn't seem to get Tesla and a few other things, but he does get this. I mean, look at us compared to Saudi Arabia, to Russia, to Canada, to China, really anybody else in the world. Look at how much we produce. It's a lot. And I tell you what, if I'm right about Trump getting elected, energy is going to be in abundance. He's not slowing down on that stuff. Don't get me wrong. He is very anti talk about like EVs and renewables and stuff like this, but that's going to move along with or without him. It doesn't really matter at this stage because the costs of solar have dropped by 83% roughly in a decade. And when you look at the cost drop of other things over that time, like coal's down 5% or some shit. It's nothing, right? It's nothing. And so these other forms of energy can't compete, so it doesn't matter. But I do see energy abundance. I see massive amounts of it coming from solar, from battery backups, and then again from oil and gas and some of the things that he might push. And I'm all for that. The more energy we produce, the richer we are. So make it fucking happen. Make it so. Technology is advancing at a quick rate. We need to make as much energy as we can to keep up with it and to become rich and to become powerful and to become the leading innovators of the world. All these things are very important, and I think we're doing it. Anyway, Marty Party. You guys like a DJ, Marty Party music. And he's also pretty good at this stuff too, which is funny. Anyway, but I'm a high school dropout and I'm pretty good at it as well. I'm probably more competent than like 99% of the people on earth in regard to finance and investing. So whatever. Can't judge too much. Treasury buybacks are quantitative easing, QE, a constant flow of new liquidity cash into banks. It's a good post. Check it out. It basically says buybacks funded by bill issuance would move cash out of the RRP, the reverse repo markets, and into the broader financial system. The end result would be an increase in cash held by banks and non-banks, both whom may rebalance their portfolios into other assets. In addition, the reappearance of steady bid for coupon treasuries would put downward pressure on yields and boost market liquidity. You got to remember, the Fed is slowing dramatically on lowering their balance sheet, which means basically selling equities and other investments, right? So they're not putting downward pressure on the market. One of the reasons that M2 is doing so well, which we'll look at again in a second. And then at the same time, you've got the Treasury buying back. So they're making it to where bonds aren't so scary. And we can see some of that. Let's just go over here real quick. Let's look at some bond shit. Today. So bond market, the MOVE index, the volatility index for bonds, it actually was down today, 2.53%, which is fascinating because it was up earlier in the day. Let's look at the 2-year and see how it's doing today. So the 2-year retraced by 1%. That's good, right? So the bond market is looking stable. It's looking good. And it's not looking like it's running away. And at the same time, when we look at that, we'll just jump over to the dollar. How's the dollar doing today? Oh, dollar's down 0.35%. Again, treading water in this area, just like I've been talking about. That's good. We don't want to see the dollar get strong. It means things are getting scary. We don't want scary. Let's look at oil. Wow, oil fell off a fucking cliff today. I bet these oil people were really excited when it was above $80 a share, or a barrel, my bad. Bad habits. Now it's in the 77 range. It's already dropped over $2 in a couple of fucking days. So this is a big deal. Motive Day. Thank you for the 279. Appreciate you, sir. Hood works amazing today, bro. Bitcoin will go to the moon. It will. A lot of things are going to go higher. But look at this, though. So all these things look good, right? The bond market is going to be in control because we got the Treasury buying stuff back. We've got the Fed lowering their sales. This is some of the stuff I think I missed when I was talking about how rates needed to be lowered right away. I still believe they should. I don't know when it's going to happen. Looks like September now. We'll look at that with the CME Fed Watch tool. So in September, right now we're in the 525 to 550 range. 49% chance in September that we stay there. But there's like a greater chance that we drop by one rate cuts or two. I think this will maintain. And there's some stuff happening that we need to look at. We need to look at costs across a number of different sectors. We'll do that too. But again, looking at July, like June is non-existent for a rate cut. Actually, we're looking at a 1.1% chance of an increase. July is down to 12% for a rate cut. It's not super great. Again, I've kind of missed the mark on this. But maybe I missed the mark because I wasn't thinking about how M2 was going to get better because of just the Fed not selling and then the Treasury buying back. And so you have really positive things happening that are actually improving M2 at the same time that China and, China's falling apart and they're having to print money like a motherfucker. And then the European Union is looking at cutting rates. So we're looking at things that are kind of loosening around the world. And we're still kind of the rock. But we're not seeing danger in the dollar. We're not seeing danger in bonds. We're not seeing danger in oil. These are all positives, in my opinion. WinSmart, love this guy, CFA. He says, U.S. banks, unrealized losses in the U.S. banking system increased to $517 billion in Q1. This is what I'm talking about. This is another reason why I say that rates need to come down, right? Is because we've got realized losses that happen because of what happened in the bond market. Now, these realized losses are going to be stabilized because of the Treasury buying stuff back and just, I think general stability in markets. But we can't have this, right? We can't have these unrealized losses turning into realized losses for U.S. banks. This is unsustainable. This is not good. So we got to fix it. And we fix it by lowering rates and making it to where the bond market is more stable and then not having this problem, right? So it's one of the reasons we've got to do it. We got to do it for other reasons because high rates actually create inflation and we can't have inflation. So that might actually be why maybe the CME Fed Watch tool ends up being wrong and ends up surprising people because they realize that we're causing the inflation with what we're doing right now and that we need to fix it. My buddy Banana, we'll talk about that in a second. But before I go there, Seth Golden, the megaphoning of weak market breadth is not supported by the data. In fact, the Mag 7 has less contribution year-to-date return on the right than in 2023. On Wall Street, dogma is relentless disease of the mind, portfolio, and performance. And again, the dogma, the narratives, all the stuff that's fucking wrong. Look at this. I mean, 2023, the Magnificent Seven made up 60%, and now they're sub 50 and in the the 46% range. So we're seeing less of this, and we're seeing stronger market breadth, and that's the reality of it, not all the bullshit. So ignore the bullshit. Focus on the reality. Again, the M2 looking good, and this is probably one of the things I didn't count on is that the Fed and the Treasury. I just wasn't paying attention to how much that can help. Also, somebody talked about war. I should have grabbed a Grok. Grok had a great response to this too. But Hans LeBlanc said, he said he did. He said, I hope you're right, but we'll find out. Anyway, he said, war will squash this bull run. He was talking about Bitcoin. I can feel it. First off, Hans, I love you, but feelings aren't a good way to invest at all, ever. You should have a thesis, not a feeling. China, Russia, Ukraine, Taiwan, North Korea, Israel. So he threw out a bunch of war-related countries. But I want to be clear about something. Russia is dramatically losing the war with Ukraine. So much so that Putin had recently said that he would like to end the war. And Ukraine does not want to end the war. There's European factors that don't want to end the war. Biden doesn't want to seem to end the war. Trump does. Whether it's a piss tape or whatever it is, Putin and Trump seem to be buddy-buddy, and he wants to end the war. And Vivek is smart enough, and he's in his ear. He's a little earworm for Trump, telling him that we need to end the war in Russia. We need to stabilize the situation there with Ukraine. We need to figure out and draw lines. We need to stop letting young, innocent people die for no fucking reason. And don't get me wrong, you have to defend liberty. Ukraine had a right to defend itself. I don't fall into the hard right view that Ukraine is somehow the villain in all of this. That's bullshit. Putin said over and over again that they weren't going to invade. Our government said they were going to invade for weeks. And what did they fucking do? They invaded, and they would have taken the whole goddamn country if they could have. Sorry for my vulgarity there. They would have, though, right? He thought it was going to be a 3-day endeavor, and they were trying for it all. But they didn't get it, and they've sucked. And 2 years later, plus, they're not making any headway on either side. But we know that there's probably 800 to 900,000 casualties. And it's been detrimental to Russia's economy and to Ukraine, outside of all the money we've been giving them, which is tons. But why are we creating a bunch of debt so young people can die? Draw the lines, call them done, Finish the shit, because Russia needs it to be finished. Ukraine needs it to be finished. Europe needs it to be finished. We need it to be finished so we can focus on our shit. And our shit is having to worry about China and the fact that they want to invade Russia and everybody around them. Everybody. So we need to turn Russia against them. That's my take. Sorry for going off on a rant here. But here's the thing. Back to my original point. Is I actually think we're finding stability in the Middle East with Israel and Saudi Arabia being on the same side. And things calming down with what's happening with the Palestinian people. I mean, it's not great still. There are plenty of videos you can find with, kids' body parts all over the place. And you could go back and forth on what's right or wrong. But here's what I can tell you. I can tell you that there are plenty of Palestinians that want to be martyrs, that are taught as children to be fucking martyrs and to die. And to die is holy, and it's something that you can feel good about for this cause. And I can tell you what happened to Israeli people through numerous videos. And then what happens from there? I mean, it's a fucking war. People are going to die. War isn't good. We should never initiate attacks on other countries. We should never perform terrorism. We should try and limit war and the scope of it. And again, without going any more of a rant than I already am, I don't know if people give a shit about my politics, but I have a strong belief that Israel needs to finish this. And then I also believe that when it's over, there needs to be a coalition of security, not just of Middle Eastern nations, but maybe European ones too, the United States, groups that help provide security for that region. Because what I found across everything, Bukele taught me this, a lot of people taught me this, is that safety and security are paramount for any civilization. Any civilization. If you don't have security and people don't have safety, you don't have progression. There's a reason Palestine is basically a fucking prison. And it's not just a prison from Israel. It's a prison from Egypt, too. It's a prison from other countries that reside along their borders. Because, well, I guess technically it's Israel and Egypt, but whatever. Other people, other Middle Eastern countries don't want these people either. They don't want terrorism. They don't want radicalism because they know that it's dangerous. So, but my whole point, I digress. My whole point is, I think that's starting to come to an end. I watch all of these things. I spend 20 to 30 hours a week on war. So the point I want to make is, I think we're getting ready to be a safer world. That's not the narrative right now, but I think it will be. I think that the war in Russia in the next year or two will come to an end with Ukraine. I think that the Middle East war with the Palestinians will come to an end, and neither one of these will have worked the way that the Palestinian or Iran or whatever wanted to work, or Russia wanted it to work. It didn't work out good. And China wants to invade Taiwan. They want to really badly, but they've got to look at this stuff and go, shit, it hasn't worked out well. What's going to happen to us? So, but they're the ones we need to fight. That was my whole fucking point. I'm slowly getting back to it. And I also wanted to say that over the very short period of time, war can be volatile for the economy and markets, especially the markets, right? You can have people that from fear run to flights to safety. I think that'll end up being Bitcoin unless a war starts when Bitcoin has done really well, right? But I think it could be a reserve asset. But outside of that, if you look back at history, if you look at World War I, if you look at World War II, if you look at wars that are fought throughout hundreds and thousands of years, they're economic generators if done right. And I hate to say that. But they end up benefiting stocks if you're invested in the right ones. I don't want war at all. I want zero wars. Okay, that's my goal. I want the world to be like Star Trek. I want it to be a beautiful place where you just walk up to a fucking replicator and get the shit you need, and nobody has to worry about feeding themselves. Nobody has to worry about getting murdered. Nobody has to worry about succumbing to drug use and having nothing fucking to look forward to in their lives, or has to worry about getting murdered by terrorists or getting murdered by other countries. I want none of that stuff to exist. But if it does happen, markets are way more resilient than most people realize. And if you don't believe me, go back and read a history book or ask Grok. That was it for that part. Sorry, long rant. Done with that one now. Let's go back. 1 second here. Let me see what else I got. Do I have anything else? Let me go back one here. All right. Kathy Jones was talking about the breakdown of Q1 GDP. She said net exports and private inventories were lower, but personal consumption and fixed investment remain healthy. Also, government spending was down a little bit too, but GDP underperformed. It underperformed, and so again, like people love to talk about stagnation, so that's something that we'll probably hear more and more of with that happening. And the reason I say that is when we look at PCE data, and I'll just jump over here in a second, but when we look at that, it actually was within consensus, but we're seeing, productivity things like GDP dropping. So it kind of feeds into that narrative of, maybe inflation's around to stay. But then at the same time, we're not going to be as productive and we're not going to do as well. So that's going to probably be a prevailing narrative over the short term. I don't think it's going to turn out that way, and I'll say why in a little bit here. But I put, which is why the government can't allow a recession anytime soon. So Michael Arawat, I don't know. I think he's in Germany. He posts about like German stuff all the time. This is U.S. unemployment rate versus fiscal deficit. And what it's showing here, it says current U.S. fiscal deficit is at a level seen at the peak of past recessions despite full employment. Imagine U.S. fiscal deficit during the next recession. So my whole point is here is that, yeah, it's bad. It's bad, right? Like the fiscal deficit is bad when compared to where unemployment is. But that's why we can't let that happen. And that's why I think the money printer goes burr. So because we literally can't. We made a pact after 2008. We can't stop printing money, not without Bitcoin becoming prevalent. All right, other thing, Banana 3. This is a good guy to follow, Banana 3 stocks. I like him. He's got an attitude like mine, which I think is wonderful. Some do not. Anyway, he says, one day my children will tell my story. One banana against 30,000 PhDs at the Fed. This title says, JP Morgan makes the case that high rates are actually driving inflation, that costlier mortgages are spilling into rent, and the Fed needs to ease up. Yes, he's right. I've been saying this too. And it's not just rent, guys. It's businesses. Businesses are having to take rates or loans at really high rates. What do you think they do if they're having to borrow at higher rates? They pass that cost on to the fucking consumer because they need to make margins. They need to have their stock performance do well. So high rates are fucking us and actually causing inflation. Lynn's been saying that too. Yeah, Lynn's brilliant. I love her. Unbroken Money is a good book. It's behind me over here somewhere. But this is a big deal, right? This is a big deal. So if anything, and I could be fucking wrong. I've been wrong so much on rates. But maybe it does happen before September, but maybe it happens because the Fed actually realizes that they're the problem. Listen to your banana. Listen to me. Maybe. Or maybe we're full of shit. Don't know what we're talking about. I don't know. Anyway, let's quickly roll through some things. We'll go through some stock stuff. I'm not going to go deep. Thank you, Sean, for joining and becoming a member. I appreciate you, man. So again, and PCE. I do want to talk about a few other things. So one, containerized freight. Nobody's talking about this. I don't know why. But it's getting a little scary again. I don't love this, right? You saw what happened after the pandemic with freight costs. They're going up again, guys. They're not $937 a container anymore. They're up to $2,700. That's a 200% increase almost, right? So, getting a little scary. Not loving that. Not even sure why that's happening, but I'll be digging into it, believe me. And if you guys have any ideas, throw them in fucking chat. I'd love to hear it. All right, so GDP growth rate, again, it was a 1.3% versus a consensus of 1.3 and a forecast of 1.6. That's not great. We're seeing a drop, right? And if we look over here, zoom out a little bit, you can't really see it too well here, but you can see kind of a downward channel. Not great. Don't love that. Corporate profits, negative 1.7% versus a forecast of 4% and an expectation of 3.9. That's not great, but you still have to realize that we're pretty close to record levels of corporate profit. So even though we got a quarter-over-quarter number that isn't great, might be noise. GDP price index, the GDP deflator. So this one was forecast. What do we have here? Actual was 3.1%, but we had a forecast of 2.9 and a consensus of 3. So it's hot. We don't love that, right? We're hoping that rolls over, and I still think it will. You got to remember where a lot of the inflation is coming from, where a lot of this stuff. If the Fed lowers rates, I think it actually benefits all of us. Pending home sales down 7.4%. I mean, who's shocked by this? Wholesale inventory is 0.2% instead of negative 0.1. So inventories are climbing a little bit. Again, that could be seen as a negative. Retail inventories ex auto 0.3% versus a 0% expectation. So we're seeing some of that climbing. And then jobs data was pretty boring. Nothing really to see there. Goods trade balance, I don't know if there's much to see here either. It started to roll down a little bit, but I think it's bouncing. So I don't know. I don't actually think this is horrible. I think we're still headed in the right direction there. I don't think we're getting a lot of signal. Now, for tomorrow, before the weekends, we've got personal income, personal spending, and PCE. This is the big stuff. This is the April data. This is going to be very interesting. We sold off a little bit, I believe, in the afternoon. This is probably why. Just people's fears about what might be coming. All right, we're going to roll through indices real quick. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on like jumping through a bunch of stock tickers today, guys. Again, I'll probably try and make that a Sunday thing. I don't want to waste a bunch of time. I'm already an hour plus in here, so I'm going to try and wrap this up within an hour and a half max. S&P down 0.6% on the day. I don't know. Doesn't look like it's too bad of a thing. Lots of volume underneath it here. We'll see if we find support before launching higher. I still think we're going higher across everything. The NASDAQ down 1% on the day. Again, it looks like maybe it's trending down here. We got a big volume gap, so maybe it's just trying to find support in tech. A lot of stuff, interesting stuff going on in tech. A lot of earnings that are interesting, whether it's CRM data or just a slew of other companies that have been butchered recently. Even Celsius and some of these others just getting hit. I think ones that have really been high flyers are taking it on the chin. Now, the Russell, to the contrary of what's happening with the NASDAQ and the S&P, is actually bounced and up a 1% today. It's probably why some of you guys saw increases in your portfolio. I think I made about $100,000 a day. So that was cool. And I think it's just, again, we're starting to see rotation, which I like. Also, the yen, the Japanese yen, flat on the day. The Chinese yuan down 0.24% on the day. The ruble up 0.85. Again, I think this one kind of ends up addressing itself later. All right, real quickly, I'm going to jump into Bitcoin. Just look at the chart here. All right, so here's the deal. We're like 5% from an all-time high. Ignore the fucking noise. This is a bullish pattern. Be happy. MicroStrategy. I don't know what fucking happened today. I don't know why it's down 4.8%. It's a leverage play on Bitcoin. It could be the wind. Doesn't really fucking matter. Yeah, I don't see any immediate news. Doesn't fucking matter. Ignore it. Who cares? Mara. Actually a good looking chart. Up 0.45%, only down 0.99% on the day. Looks like it's a grinder and ready to go higher. CleanSpark. This one took a hit today, down 4%. Why did it go down? I don't fucking know. Was there any actual news? Was it just noise? Is it worth investing in CleanSpark? Maybe, I think IRM was down big too. We'll look at that in a second. I don't know. Anybody have any news here? Let me know if you do. Let me know. All right. CleanSpark is up 1% in after hours though. So it's starting to bounce too. Let's look at Cypher, and then I'll probably pull up IRN because everybody seems to be talking about IRN, even though I don't give a shit. Down 1%. And again, maybe I'm wrong. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm going to make tons of fucking money. All right, so down 1% on the day for Cypher, and then down 0.27% after hours. This still looks like a pattern that's going to be grinding higher in the future. And let me look at IRN and see how it did today. This is the one everybody seemed to love over the last week. So how are we doing today? IRN, the AI play, down 4.26%, up 1.89 in after hours. Still looks good. Looks like a good play. What's the market cap? $1 billion? I don't know. Might do all right. I haven't looked at... let me see. I don't even know if I looked at IRN's earnings. Let's pull it up real quick, and then we'll get on to some more tech stuff and some of the rest of the portfolio. All right. IRN, Q1. I mean, that looks like shit. But revenue's better. So Bitcoin production's falling. AI stuff is probably, I don't know, helping them out. So we have lots of share dilution. Holy shit. Wow. That's huge. And then revenue was 54 million and net income was almost non-existent for this last quarter. So what are the estimates? Are they really great? They look good heading into Q4. So they're estimating a lot of revenue. I don't know how much of this is AI. Maybe you guys can speak to that. Maybe I need to listen to the earnings on it. But EPS is still going to be pretty flat. I don't know. This is just these numbers to me still pale in comparison to a Clean Spark, a Riot, or Mara. So I don't know. I don't know what the buzz is about. Maybe you guys have some fucking clue. I don't have one. All right, let's look at some other stuff. I'm gonna roll through Tesla. Tesla had an okay day. Underneath peak volumes going back, over the last, months and months and months. What is this? January 2024. So for pretty much for this year, it's just a hair underneath of them. This is like a spinning top. It looks good. This looks like something that could set up for more upside. Down 0.45%. I think this is going to end up going higher. We'll see. It's kind of dozing around here, but we'll see where it heads. But again, don't forget this, guys. This is what I'm trying to focus on now. This is why I'm focusing less on charts in the future here, and going to be doing less of them and probably just taking requests on Sunday for other people's. Because this is what fucking matters. This is what fucking matters. This shit over here doesn't really fucking matter when you have a massive S-curve in front of you. And if you're like me, you have at least 2+ years for things to play out. PayPal, how'd you do today? Up 2.4%. PayPal had a good day. They had a good day because they had a price target that raised them up to $90 from like 56 or some shit. So that's a dramatic increase. You can't hate that. And again, I was wrong on PayPal for the timing. If you just had the stock, you would have done way better. So maybe think of that as a lesson. All right. Hood up 3.58%. Hood is going to do good. Again, just the amount of assets under management right now. I think they hit the 8 billion mark. They're growing exponentially. It's beautiful. So they're up 3.58 on the day and then down 1.24 in after hours. So they're getting a little hit afterwards. But still, they're climbing, like I said, towards that $30 mark. And I think we're still going to see it. Strong company. I don't own enough of this, but oh well. Okay, I still get my gold card. So whatever, fuck it. And I made 500 or 600% off of them. So I'm still happy. I don't hate it. I don't hate life. All right. Here we go. SoFi. SoFi was up today. Oh, but it lost it all in after hours. Cool. Still is it finding support? Is it finding support here? Let's see. Can SoFi stay above this green line? That's really what we need, guys. It's really what we need. It's technically above it. Amazingly. So we need the month to close above this. If it does that, then we've only had really 2 months going back to July of 2023. No, actually, technically here, going back to May of 2023. So 2 months where it was underneath this support line. So that would be a good way to close the month. We'll see if she can do it. Square, I think Square is still getting kicked in the face. I don't have a lot of this. Makes me almost want to buy more. Not going to lie. Filled that gap. That's a beautiful thing. And just keeps dropping. And since I don't have really any options in this one, I don't know. I'll have to look and see if this is something that might be worth taking a closer look at. I do believe their Bitcoin strategy is one of the top notch. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Might have to dip my toes more in that one. Palantir. Palantir got a huge contract. I don't know, for the government. Another 400+ million or some shit. Again, this is a great company. I'm not allocated to it probably enough right now. It's a 3.77% today that it was up, and then 0.83% in after hours. It's a great company. I should get a longer view here. Why am I in such a short view? But this I don't know. It's looking pretty resilient, man. And you look at this on the .786, spending more time above than below definitely looks like consolidation. It's going to be very interesting to see where this closes on the monthly time frame. Looks like a bottoming pattern, really does. So let's see if it can hold. Maybe we could still go down to the 18s or 20s if the market falls apart. But Palantir just looks better by the day. Might not be asymmetric returns over the short term, But boy, if we go to war, it's probably going to be a good one. ArcG. ArcG has gotten beat up a lot. I think the options for 2025 and 2026 were pretty flat on the day. But again, it needs to find support here on the monthly time frame as well, just like SoFi. It's still down. It's still down. What is it? 78% from its all-time high. So this can still do really well, even for the 2025s. I haven't bought any more. I'm kind of in a holding pattern. I'm waiting for Bitcoin to take off more. But who knows? Maybe this will end up being interesting later. And maybe I will add to the 2026s on this one. Flux. Flux up 2% on the day, down 1.31%. Kind of just grinding down here. I don't know. This wasn't so much me. I blame this on what's his name. I can't remember it off the top of my head. He had a video about it. But I think I made one too. So we can blame me. But it's down 86% from its all-time high. This company is basically trying to do electric stuff in a more manufacturing, like warehouse type setting. And I think that they're going to do good in the future. I haven't sold anything on this one. I have no options on it. I just have stock. Going to keep holding it. Might buy more in the future. Not sure. We'll see. Again, I've still got to review the earnings on this one. I have not been fully into that stuff. I am finding more time in the day, though, which is good. So hopefully I'll have more time to be able to talk about that. DLO has a huge fucking gap. This one got butchered. And, in looking at earnings, I don't totally understand why. Maybe you guys have more information than I do nowadays. But I don't understand. At a glance, I don't get why this one would be so bad. I don't even know, where's my box on here. Why can I not find my fucking box? I'll draw it later. But again, a huge gap from $13 all the way down to $10. So this one has some room to climb. Not sure if I'm going to buy more, but if you just look at the financials on the company, they don't look bad to me. Outside of net income, which has not been great. I mean, I got to say that. So looking at DLO, again, it doesn't look great here. It looks kind of a little toppy over the last 4 quarters, and net income has dropped. It's like 17 million now. But you also have to realize the forward P on this is 16. It could be single digits soon. And there is still a lot of growth. I would like to see operating expenses get better in the quarters ahead. It had a big uptick. R&D is getting higher. They're definitely trying to develop more. And then general and administrative expenses too grew as well. So I don't love seeing G&A grow. I don't mind R&D, especially if they're doing the right stuff. S&M looks good though, so we'll see what happens. I am very curious about operating expense. This is a very cash-rich company with no debt, which is good. And then their growth in everything looks solid. And if we go back over here, again, let me see if Key Charts has anything interesting too that we want. Revenue by country. I don't know, probably need to examine this a little bit more to figure out where things are shrinking and why they're shrinking. It looks like Nigeria might have had shrinkage. It looks like, I can't even tell which one that is. Parts of Africa and Asia. Maybe that's not too crazy. I think there's a lot of problems happening in South Africa. There's a video I probably want to comment on from Joe Blogs talking about South Africa and how they have 53% unemployment amongst their youth, which is fucking crazy and a horrible number. And then China, we know that's not doing well. So maybe they're suffering from some of that. Maybe they need more expansion in Latin America, and to refocus energy there. They did do good in Egypt. Look at that, like a big uptick in Egypt. So there's areas where they can benefit. I still love this. Looking at the operating leverage, it looks good. Revenue versus expenses, even though we did see an uptick. And again, just like cross-border, local to local, it looks like local to local is picking up. Cross-border isn't really doing much for their TPV breakdown. And let's see, top 10 merchant revenue. So their top 10 merchant revenue started to drop, which they've had a really steady uptick. So maybe there's some of that. Looking at the estimates, they're not horrible. I mean, look at this. Revenue here looks great for the next several quarters. And then we see the EPS getting a lot better too when it was trending down. So if they're right about this turnaround, I don't know how consistent they've been on their estimates. I got to go back and look and kind of do some back testing. But I don't know. I think this could be a story where they turn around in the quarters ahead. And again, I just don't. I think I have 2026 options on this one. So I might buy more. But I'm going to do some due diligence, and I'll make sure to communicate that to members as well. All right. I think I did a lot of my stock stuff. I think I did all my stock stuff. I am not going to do other tickers today, guys. I think I said that at the beginning. I'm in it. I will do that. Trump is guilty on all 34 counts. What does that mean? So that's interesting. What does that mean, though? What does it mean? Do you guys have any details whatsoever on this? Anybody? Anybody? Bueller? One of the two presidential is on camera saying, oh, what? Oh, yeah, okay. Is advising, no, okay. Is that real? Is Trump, okay, counts of falsifying, 5 guilty, 6 guilty. Verdicts reached in Trump criminal trial. All right, I'm going to watch this for a second, even though it's CNN.
Guilty. Count
MSNBC. Whatever.
5 guilty. Those are the first 5 counts coming out of this jury, finding Donald J. Trump guilty on the first 5 felony counts. Reading the rest as we are getting it from our court reporters.
Starting with count 6.
Count 6, guilty. Count 7, guilty. Count 8, guilty. And you'll see on the screen we're tracking ahead. Count 9, guilty. Count 10, guilty. Count 11, guilty. Count 12, guilty. Count 13, guilty. Count 14, guilty. Count 16, guilty. Count 17, guilty. Count 18, guilty. Count 19, guilty. Count 20, guilty. Count 21, guilty. Count 22, guilty. Count 23, guilty. Count 24, guilty. Count 25, guilty. Count 26, guilty. Count 27, we're seeing that on the screen, guilty. Count 28, guilty. Those are the first 28 felony counts here as read by the jury. Count 29, guilty. Count 30, guilty. Count 31, guilty. Count 32, guilty. Count 33 and 34, guilty. Count all 30.
Irreducible verdict.
I don't love this.
He can appeal. I'm sure he will appeal. But
yeah, okay, so this is a non-event. He's going to appeal. He'll still run for the president. And if he wins, I'm sure I don't even know what happens. I don't even know what happens. What happens if Trump is found guilty on, again, falsifying business records in the first degree? Guilty on all of them. What happens if he's in the appeal stage? He can still run for the president. I think he could still win it. Yeah, I think he can still win. Here's the thing, and if he wins, what's going to happen? Like, I mean, can he just pardon himself? Does anybody know? I don't even know. I'm going to have to find out. So I don't know if this actually matters. What is this? Breaking Trump releases savage new ad from court as jury deliberates verdict in trial. I don't know. I'm not going to go into all this right now, but I'm sure this is going to be fascinating in the days ahead. But I will say this. I think this is probably noise. It's noise. And don't get me wrong. I think he's probably guilty on all of these things. I think he's misled on his business dealings a ton. And I thought that's the reason I didn't vote for him. But I don't think it fucking matters. Donald Trump Jr., such bullshit. You gotta admit this family's entertaining. Oh my God. Yeah, anyway, we'll see what happens with all this. I don't actually know that it matters, guys, at all. I think it's probably noise. I think he still runs for the president. I think he still probably wins it. Yeah, I think it's going to happen. I don't think Biden's going to win. And I think, if anything, this will just reinvigorate his base. I know there's a bunch of liberal people that don't want to believe that, but, I'm pretty liberal, too, on a lot of things, and I'm pretty conservative on money. And I think he's going to win. And I didn't vote for him last time. So take it from that. Anyway, I think I'm done here today, guys. I will look at stocks on Sunday at 6 p.m. So if there's tickers that you want to go over, I'll kind of cover whatever you might have missed over the weekend. And then I'll also go over tickers at the end. So that's how it's going to work going forward. And thank you to the people that are here, and to the people that aren't. Hey, I think you're going to miss out. I think my content's only going to get better. So good luck with that. All right, anyway, love you guys. You take it easy and have a good day. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.
With time, a seed becomes a tree, sheltering us. With time, a skill becomes a talent, empowering us. With time, a technology becomes a tool, enhancing us. By nature, time gives value to almost everything, yet the very thing our society gives value to, our money, loses value over time. This paradox warps our reality by defying the laws of nature, and it stems from the belief that $1 today is worth more than $1 tomorrow. Meaning money must always lose value. We built our reality off of this model. Time value of money, we call it, but in reality, this is just dogma. Since we can keep making more of it, we end up destroying our own purchasing power. So we put it in stocks, put it in bonds, put it in land, put it in funds, put it in crypto, put it in gold. But we are not oracles, so what do we know? We know that it's hard to get by. We know some people may never retire. Is time value of money a license that discounts the monetary value of our time? If time is money, how are they moving in different directions? We're working longer for less, we end up just giving away our freedom. Give up liberty for policies, give up our agency to the authorities. Because when our foundation is built on complexity, we simplify humans by giving up our humanity. Reality check, we've strayed too far from the truth. The world economy's a wreck when 1 + 1 no longer equals to 2. And if life's created from the truth, along the way something got screwed. And we let our own dogma subjectify value. We divorce action from consequence. We defy the law of physics when we make scarcity infinite. We disregard the language of mathematics. So our systems are built in a fallacy. Our society's based in a fantasy. In the absence of truth, we're living in the shadows of our own reality. And that's the root problem. Man-made rules can be broken. As our trust crumbles, so does the progress of our civilization. But one thing remains constant: no one can cheat nature. So why not use it to architect a stronger base layer? The most beautiful buildings engineered based on these consequences. Natural law drives rigor needed to build something enduring, uncompromising on principles that accounts for the flaws. Because when our lives are at stake, the gravity of truth cannot be ignored. So if our monetary systems were designed like structures, it would embody energy and matter, so the money itself matters. An unbreakable limit enforced by costliness of creation ensures the structure holds value for many generations. A rule-based system governed by maths builds a transparent ecosystem that can self-error correct. With no one in charge, no words are taken as fact. Only work from computation can actualize truth of timestamps, and like water flowing off a cliff down the path of gravity, computational energy makes time flow one way only. It is this irreversibility which gives value to our money by upholding consensus and scarcity to create one shared reality. Now the map is the territory. Now we're working with high fidelity. Now money is truthfully time and energy bound by finality. Now we have the ability to manifest each of our dreams and build a world that's much more reflective of all of our needs. And that's the purpose of money, merely a tool to shape our reality, merely a function to harness and express individuality, just a way to live freely, just a means for possibility. Because when we build on integrity, we enhance the beauty of humanity. The most beautiful societies are built from diversity of our thoughts that come to life when we're empowered individually. Because when our money tomorrow is worth more than today, we shift from predicting to creating the future ourselves. And when our money grows in value, we grow thoughtful in how we use it. Natural law drives rigor needed to fund something enduring, something truly worth it, something that pushes the sky's limit, something only possible when our real value and consequence exist in boundless virtual dimensions. Imagine potential creations, fueled by monetary life force, lasting for many generations. We will venture into new territories and unleash these possibilities once we learn to embrace the truth of our reality.